Sin City. Saturday night. Fight night. Any given weekend, this place is the entertainment capital of the world. When combat sports shines brightest on the Las Vegas Strip. Boxing and mixed martial arts need some new voices. And Franchise Sports Media got them for you. Join Kalani Lua and Griff and Kemp each week as they bring you news and hot takes from inside the octagon and the ring. Get your popcorn ready. It's showtime. FSM's main event starts right now.
What's going on, fight fans? Thank you guys for another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani Lua.
I'm the Griffin Kemp.
Griffin Kemp, the Griffin Kemp.
Yo.
UFC 292 is going to be happening in Boston. We'll get to that a little bit later, but we got two title fights on the line. My man, what are your thoughts on the main event? Funkmaster, Aljamain Sterling against Sugar Sean O'Malley.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I got 3 points to make with this fight. One, this is going to be the most important war in the Bantamweight division's history. The most important. We got Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling. He's established himself. He is the Bantamweight division. Ever since he got the title, beating Petr Yan back-to-back, this division has belonged to the Funkmaster. Mm-hmm. He's owned it. He's beaten the TJ Dillashaw, the Henry Cejudos. He's beaten anyone who could compete with him for that title as the GOAT of Bantamweight. Mm-hmm. And now he's facing arguably one of the names that have the potential to be the next big draw, big superstar for the UFC in Sugar Sean O'Malley. Now, I think Sugar Sean and Funkmaster Sterling, the reason this is so important, because regardless of the outcome on Saturday night, Aljamain Sterling will no longer fight in the Bantamweight division. He will no longer hold that title. He will be moving up to featherweight. He's completely relinquishing the title. The question is now, does he leave the division as the GOAT, finishes it off with an exclamation point saying nobody could beat me, not even Dana White's boy, the next superstar? Or does Sugar Sean O'Malley get the win, his biggest win of his career, and officially put his name up there as the champion of Bantamweight and also the biggest star in the UFC?
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Because you're jumping a little far there, okay? First off, one particular win or loss doesn't make you the GOAT or not the GOAT. Aljamain has done enough in this division to go ahead and cement himself as one of the greatest 135ers of all time. That's already established. So if he loses, it's not going to take away from it. Doesn't take away from Kamaru Usman, what he did at 170. Okay, he lost to Leon Edwards twice. He's still the second greatest welterweight of all time. George St. Pierre is number one. So there's that. He is going to be moving up. Is he going up for champ status, or is he just going up there to be another challenger for Alexander the Great Volkanovski for his title? That remains to be seen. What I find interesting about this particular matchup is Sugar Sean O'Malley coming up, the young superstar on the slow and steady rise. Some people have looked at it, Aljamain Sterling said it, that it's almost been a Dana White privileged tour. And you know what? Early on, he did face some guys where you're like, okay, buddy, when are you going to start stepping up in competition? But I would remind people, we have seen several times throughout the UFC history, you get somebody hot and fresh, you try to push them to the moon right away. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does, but oftentimes it doesn't. And when they stumble, fans get off them. Remember Sage Northcutt? Remember him, guys?
Oof, that was upsetting.
Starring to make it. Had the look, would do the backflip, had the blonde hair like Ken. Not just Ken from Barbie, but Ken from Street Fighter.
Yes.
But he got pushed so quick and so fast that when he lost, the hype train was all off of him. Same thing with Paige Van Zandt. So I think the slow and steady rise with Sugar Sean O'Malley is one of the first that we saw the UFC handle it right. You know I'm a big pro wrestling fan.
Yep.
Sometimes they get somebody in there and it's a slow burn. Because you want to make sure when they get that chance at WrestleMania, at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, one of your big 4 pay-per-views, that they're ready for the big stage, ready for the spotlight. For Sugar Sean O'Malley, this is his biggest fight. But I think he kind of showed in the last outing against Petr Yan, a former champion, I am ready for the big stage. I am ready for the bright lights. I'm bringing everything with me. Had they rushed him and he stumbled and fumbled, maybe they would have moved off of him and he wouldn't be in this position now. So while I do see where Aljamain is coming from, I do like that the UFC took their time bringing up Sean O'Malley to see is he worthy so that when he gets here, same thing I believe with Aljamain Sterling. Win or lose, Sugar Sean is still going to be at the top of this division unless he gets smoked in like 5 seconds.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I get what you're saying.
Of course I'm not.
And when I say that he's going to be moving up, I don't think it's going to be for champ status. I think he has made it perfectly clear. It's a mixture of him. The weight cut is a little bit too rough on him for how big he is for the division.
You're talking about Sterling.
I'm talking about Sterling, yes. Sterling. So when, and then also his training partner / friend, the reason, is Merab. And Merab hasn't competed for the title despite being on the second longest win streak in the history of the division, 8, because him and Sterling are so close. He said he would never fight for the title until Aljamain Sterling was no longer the champion. And so, for all these reasons, I think he'll be moving up. He's going to be completely cut off and done with this division. But the reason it's going to be the most important is because it's not about whether it takes away or gives to Sterling. Sterling, like you said, he's cemented his legacy. He is the greatest who ever fought in the division. But depending on what happens on Saturday night, the division will either be left with their greatest fighter, their champion, winning his final bout, and then just relinquishing the title. It almost takes away from the title itself, from the division, because then a loss, if Aljamain Sterling were to win on Saturday night, a loss for Sugar Sean O'Malley, I don't know if it completely derails his hype train, completely derails all this progress he's been making, but it's hard to overcome that. It definitely takes a little bit away from that star power. Yes, because if you're this
Did it
big,
take away from Colby Covington losing to Kamaru Usman? No. How does losing to the champion, when you've beaten others in the division, how does that take away from you? Does it bother anybody else? Did it bother Max Holloway losing to Volkanovski 3 times?
Well, let me ask you this. If Conor McGregor, who Dana White and everybody has said that's the reason Sugar Sean O'Malley has gotten all this hype, is because they want him to be the next Conor. Had Conor lost to Jose Aldo, would Conor be the same star he is today?
Yes.
He would have been the same.
Yes.
That
you know why?
Why?
Because he has that star power making ability that Sugar Sean O'Malley has. There are some guys, and you know this just from watching movies, shows, and even the fights. There are some guys, look at Nate Diaz. He does not have the greatest win-loss record, but people clamor to him. We'll get to him in just a little bit.
Yes.
But people clamor to him. Jorge Masvidal lost like his last 3 bouts in the UFC, was still a mega star. Some guys, once they are established, and that's what I'm saying about the slow rise, once you get to a certain point, the fans are behind you. They've been invested. Okay, 1 loss. Look who you lost to. If your boy would have lost to Jose Aldo, I'm sorry, the greatest featherweight of all time? Yeah, shame on him. We're not buying that no more. No, you don't lose your status if you lose to one of the best or the champion. Same thing with Earl Spence in boxing. He's not going to lose his ranking as one of the best in the world because he got dominated by Terence Crawford. People can look at that and say, well, he had an off night. Terence Crawford is just that much better. Whatever the case may be. Same thing here. Sugar Sean O'Malley. So, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but with what you said, it's almost like, well, if Sugar Sean loses this, he's going to be on the prelims in a card somewhere else. No, he'll still headline the fight night card. He'll still be a co-main event on a pay-per-view if he's on it. He's already established with fans plenty much to know about him. If this was his 3rd fight and we didn't know who he was, Alex Pereira, if he would have lost to Israel Adesanya, people wouldn't have gotten behind him because it would have been like, okay, well, he had 1-2 wins in the UFC and they just catapulted him there. But the fact that he beat Izzy and now he beat Jan Blachowicz, wait a minute now. We got a legit dude here. It's not just a false hype. Sean O'Malley, win, lose, or draw, will still be an established player in this game. If Funkmaster was to win and leave the division, I believe it would do the division right because now you can say, okay, your boy, like we just said, Marlon, you got 8 fights. Sugar Sean, depending on how he loses, maybe him. Maybe go with Chico Vera. There's other names you could say for the vacant title. We can go ahead and put it out there. Sure, it would be nice if O'Malley won, but if not, and Aljo leaves, okay, Aljo, go get your next fight against Volkanovski. Go for champ status. But right after that, we're going to have the 135 belt. Hey, if you win, very nice Polaroid, cheese, take it off, and we're going to go ahead and give it to the next guys at 135. I believe this is one of those matches. Win, lose, or draw, the division is going to be great. Remember, we've talked about what happens at 125 if Demetrius Johnson leaves. Isn't it still around?
It's still
what
around.
Happens at 125 if Conor leaves, if Max isn't champion? Isn't it thriving?
It's thriving.
These divisions will not disappear. They would not go into the abyss because the top champion or one of the best of all time is no longer there. That just leaves room for someone else to take the mantle.
I agree. I think more than anything, though, I get your point. All I'm trying to say though is there's a difference between being a star in the UFC and being the star in the UFC. And a loss or a win on Saturday night for Sugar Sean O'Malley will make the difference in that. And you know what? Before we hop on the next fight, I do want us to get nice little predictions. I like us to play,
man, you don't put butter on my biscuits when you do this. Okay, go ahead, man. You go first.
All righty. In the most important war the 135-pound division will ever see in its history to this point, we got Aljamain Sterling, who has the most. He's the backpack specialist. The man has the most control time ever in the history. And against Sugar Sean O'Malley, whose striking has been compared to the Notorious One. I think it's going to be a challenge. I don't think Sugar Sean O'Malley has ever faced a wrestler quite like Aljamain Sterling. But I am going to say, after Saturday night, Sugar Sean O'Malley is the new Bantamweight champion, and he catapults into that atmosphere of absolute megastar.
Breaking news. Griff and Kemp chooses a Conor McGregor wannabe.
Yeah, the wannabe. The man's got covered. Come on now.
Well,
what you think?
I'm glad that you're going in because I'm going with the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling. There's obvious reasons for it. But there's also the fact that Aljamain Sterling has shown time and time again, oh, you think you got the answers? I always change the question. You call him backpack. Sure, that's fine. I'm just going to take you down, control you, damn near put 27 submissions on you. I'm going to take you down at will. I took down Olympic gold medalist. Ooh, Olympic gold medalist. Get your ass down there, man. Oh, Peter Yan, the boogeyman. I'm almost going to choke you out 17 times. And then, if we want to stand up because you moved like Conor McGregor, who's one of the most elusive, unorthodox strikers in the UFC? Aljamain Sterling. Comes from different angles, loopy punches, kicks, and he's gotten better and better at putting combinations together. Sugar Sean O'Malley is phenomenal. Look, seriously, if he's not against Aljamain Sterling, I'm pretty much going for him a lot. At some point, he's going to be moving up to 145. I just wish we could see him and Max Holloway at some point. But I love Aljamain Sterling in this particular matchup. I believe he's going to be able to control it. I don't know if he's going to get a TKO finish, maybe a submission from the ground control, possibly, because we have not seen how good Sugar Sean O'Malley has looked in the grappling department, but I do like Aljamain Sterling in this one.
Fair. That's fair. All righty. Maybe one of these days we'll put a little money on it, put a little wager.
Hey man, your pay grade is a little bit higher than mine, but I can't do none of that. Can't do none of that. I got to get permission from the CEO.
I got you.
In the co-main event, Wang Zhe Li takes on Amanda Lemos from Brazil. These are two top fighters. This is a tremendous matchup because of the main event. It's kind of going unnoticed, but Wang Zhe Li, 2-fight win streak, dominant striker, strong, physical. Her game has looked better since training down in Arizona with Henry Cejudo and those guys. Shout out to them. You also got Amanda Lemos from Brazil. We know the lineage that comes from that place. I mean, I feel like you either play football, soccer like we call it in America, or you're choking people out on the streets of Brazil in the favelas. I don't know. This is a very particular one. I'm going to go first on this one.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go first. And still, Wang Zhe Li. I'm sorry. If your name is not Rose Namajunas, she is shown. I will tax that ass and beat you down. I'm going for Wang Zhe Li. I do like Lemos, and she does seem like she could be that next challenger that isn't getting the credit she deserves, but can pull it off. Wang Zhe Li, though, has proved time and time again, if you are not Thug Rose, who?
Thug Rose.
I'm the one to beat.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think, funny that you mentioned that. When we were thinking about this fight, I was thinking to myself, where is Rose? We have not seen her since Wei Li got the dub off of her. And honestly, if it's not Thug Rose, and not just Thug Rose, but Thug Rose who's tapped in, Thug Rose who's not insecure, Thug Rose who's confident,
scary.
I'm picking that fighter all day, every day. But because it is not Thug Rose, I'm going to automatically go with Wei Li. Wei Li proved in that fight with Thug Rose, even though she didn't look her best, she's a beast. She owns this division. Lemon ain't going to lose no title to no person named Lemon. No, absolutely not.
Don't you dare disrespect somebody's name. That's somebody's family name right there. Don't disrespect them for that.
You think a name like Griffin, you think my name ain't been tossed around here or there?
Dude, that's only because it's Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
Harry Potter, Gryffindor, it's all a joke. All right? I don't care what your name is. You ain't beating Wei Li. Wei Li and still.
I wasn't gonna say nothing because you got those glasses on, but the fact that you made a Harry Potter reference on the
I'm
Combat
blind.
Sports channel,
I'm blind. I can't see. I'm
on
just
the
telling you
Combat
my
Sports-
experience.
What do you
my
need to see when I read the prompter here?
My struggles. All right.
What do you need to see when I read the prompter here? The fact that you brought that up, super nerd.
I gotta
and
see
the fact that you criticize some of my movie choices, never again, Griff. Never again. At least for 2 episodes. At least for 2 episodes.
I need the glasses. I need the vision. All right. I got to see what I got to see.
Whatever. Before we move on, because we got some other sports news to talk about. Before we move on, I like to throw a little stuff out there. They're going to a major city like Boston. So, a little Boston history for you, Griff.
Here we go.
Did you know Boston is named after a town in England? Boston, England. Because a lot of settlers came from... Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Did you also know that one of the most famous candies, Boston baked beans, comes from Boston?
That's a candy? It's a candy?
It's a candy coated outside with the peanuts on the inside. Don't act like you ain't eat. Well, I don't know. You was in Utah, man, with the Mormons. Do you guys eat that? Y'all know what candy is?
I don't even know what a baked bean is.
You
man.
probably know what carrots and celery is, though, don't you? Weirdos.
Healthy, delicious choices. Yeah, I do know those.
Did you know Boston actually built America's first subway system in 1897? 1897, Griff. That's a long time ago.
That is a long time.
I'm not going to ask who built it, but it was built in 1897, okay? It was built in 1997. What famous donut factory came from Boston?
Oh my goodness, what is it? What was it?
Part of it is in the question. Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. That actually makes a lot of sense. We always see the Ben Afflecks, the Matt Damons at the Dunkin' Donuts.
I'm glad you said that because I got a quick question.
Yep.
Can you name 5 celebrities? 5 from Boston. You just named a couple.
Give me a chance.
Give 5.
Right.
Name 5.
I think Ben Affleck,
That's
Casey Affleck. That's an easy one, brothers.
Oh,
come on.
Okay.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Oh, what's old boy's name? Edward Norton. Is that right? No. Oh, from Boston.
From Boston. Come on. One of them was in Fantastic Four. Marvel.
Wait. I know Chris Evans.
There you go.
Chris Evans. I need one more.
You need another one?
Oh, that Boston accent is nasty.
Yeah,
just a little
one of
side
them's got
note.
a brother that has a restaurant here in Vegas. He just moved out here, works out a lot. Marky Mark.
That Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg.
Yes. Bill Burr is from there as well.
Bill Burr
Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. Okay,
don't you dare.
No, I love me some Conan O'Brien.
Years on TV as a
I love me some Conan O'Brien.
Don't you dare.
I take O'Brien over any Fallon or any late night host.
I don't disrespect the other guys, although I do like Conan better.
Yes.
Switching things up a little bit after that Boston history, let's shift from the cage to the ring. We saw, Griff, I don't know how to describe this. We saw Nate Diaz and Jake Paul.
Yep, we did.
The spectacle that it was, visually, from an event standpoint, it seemed fun. I was all in. The fight itself, horrible. Granted, kind of typical for Nate Diaz outing. Whenever he gets a chance at the big stage in a big fight, he doesn't show up. As Jorge Masvidal for the BMF title, as the second Conor McGregor fight when he wasn't a late replacement, as Rafael Dos Anjos, as Ben Henderson. All the times he's got in a big fight.
Leon Edwards, too.
But nonetheless, he made more money in this one boxing match against a YouTuber than he did in his entire UFC run. Good God Almighty, bless his heart.
Bless him.
What did you make of the fight itself?
I think, honestly, if we're being honest with ourselves, that fight went exactly how we honestly could have predicted. And we honestly should have known this is exactly how the fight was going to go down. It was going to be Jake Paul was going to outbox, at least on the point cards. He was going to outbox Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz was not going to get slept. He wasn't going to go out like Tyron Woodley or Ben Askren. He was going to kind of play jerk around in the ring, to a certain extent. And that's what he was doing. Jake Paul would throw his shots. He was landing. His punches looked a lot more powerful than Nate's. But Nate, every time he took a shot, he just kind of pandered to the crowd. He was making fun of Paul. He was acting like he was going down.
Doing Nate Diaz antics as usual.
It looked just like what happened when he fought Tony Ferguson in that last fight. Yeah. It was just kind of a lot of, what are you doing? At
least he won that fight.
At least he won that one. But, it went out the way it did, and I'm happy for Nate. I don't think Nate really, what did Nate say right after their final weigh-in? He said, hey, guys, no matter what the outcome of this fight is, I can't do the accent as good as you, but no matter what it is, just know this guy still can't fight. He just did all of that.
Look, okay, I'll ask you this. I'll answer first. Were you at all impressed by the improvements of Jake Paul? I feel like it's 50-50 because, one, he did show some improvements in there from his last outing. Okay, he is working on it. Like he said, he's got a new camp in there, better people around him. He is, look, whatever you want to say about it, he is trying to take this sport seriously and make every event bigger than the last one. So shout out to him. Two, it's hard to judge the way Nate Diaz looked. I mean, I'm not even talking about the punching power, but look at the fact that part of Nate Diaz's allure, especially when he's in the UFC, he's been boxing since he was 15. He's trained out in the Bay Area with Andre Ward. He's got the boxing fighting sense. Yet he gets in there and looks like he's never taken a boxing class whatsoever in his life. So it's hard to really judge the improvements of Jake Paul. Nate did his antics, as you pointed out. It is what it is. But for Jake Paul, I'm very curious how his next outing will look because, look, say what you want, he does have dynamite in that right hand.
He does.
He is a big guy when they step in there. So it will be interesting to see what goes on going forward. Maybe somewhere down the road, him and a certain brother that he has stepped across each other because it seems like they kind of having a little tiff to going at it. They've had their history in the past. I'm not as familiar with it as maybe you are. I know you are, but it does seem something where you might say, you know what? We got to set this the old-fashioned way. Yeah. Queensberry rules. Step in that ring and put him up. Who would you take real quick, Logan or Jake in a boxing match?
Oh, it's interesting you ask, especially with all the news with Logan Paul, and now he's finally going to re-enter into the boxing ring with one Dylan Dennis, and we'll see if we have time to talk about that a little bit.
We'll talk about it when it gets closer because Dylan ain't worth talking about.
He ain't worth talking about.
Who you got between Logan and Jake?
I'm going to take Jake. Jake is he's actually put time into this. And kind of like what I was saying, like to answer your previous question, I think one thing that Jake Paul did show in that kind of ugly boxing fight with Nate Diaz, he did show one thing. That was the first time in his boxing career he fought 10 rounds. It was a part of the negotiations for the contracts during this buildup. He did show that he could go toe-to-toe and last and, look not dominant, but looked like he was going to win the entire fight against a guy, Nate Diaz, who's known for having the best cardio we've ever seen in the UFC, one of the best at least. That's a positive. So he's got the cardio, he's got the knockout power. He's showing fight by fight the little aspects that he's improving on. And when it comes to him and his brother, I don't take Logan Paul serious one bit. And his claim to being, fought, he went what, 8 rounds, 6 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is like 5'6", 130 pounds, dude. You're 6'2", 230.
Undefeated.
Man's a joke. 59. I'm sorry, Logan Paul. Stay in WWE. Stay in that side of the realm, brother. You and your little brother's got this realm. You don't want no part of it.
You see what he's doing over in WWE? It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Just don't put the boxing gloves on. You don't belong.
Well, we will see, and his fight's going on. Speaking of boxing gloves, let's get into some real boxing news really quick.
Let's do it.
Quick. So as I mentioned earlier, Terence Crawford beats Errol Spence.
Yes.
Fantastic showing by Terence Crawford. I don't know if he's going to do the rematch, but he's got what seems to be 2 options. Both seem somewhat out of reach. He's in the middle right now, 147. Hey, there's this guy named Gervonta Tank Davis. Heard he was pretty good.
He's decent.
Heard you got a big name. Heard you may want to move up at some point. Super fight? I'll wait here for you if you want to make that happen. But then there's some guy over here by the name of Canelo. Let her ready. Hey, when you done, come on down. We'll meet a fight. Now, before he gets to Canelo, he's got to beat the brother of Charlo that Canelo's fight. You ever seen that movie Mark for Death, Steven Seagal? Please say yes. Please say yes.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen it.
In the movie Mark for Death, it's spoiler alert. He takes on these Jamaican drug lords, but they're twins.
Oh,
you don't know that until the end. So when he kills the one twin and he's trying to tell the gang, "Hey, I got the guy," and then the other twin comes behind, you're like, "What? Whoa!" Mind freak. It was early 90s, man. Okay, we didn't have stuff like that going on in the movie.
Yeah.
That's how it is with these two. It's almost like, wait, which one is which? Oh, you're Jamel. You're Jamal. Oh, damn it, I don't know. They could almost do like in WWE. In between rounds, one could get out the ring, the other one could jump in. Canelo wouldn't know the difference. But he's undisputed champion at 154. Jamal Charlo. Crawford and him. Crawford was talking to him, wolfing at him during the ring. You're next. So now, if those two go at it, and let's say Crawford wins, if Canelo beats Charlo over here, Canelo, where you gonna go? You gonna try 175? You gonna try heavyweight? Nah, brother, come on down here. But Canelo's like, that's too much for me to go down. Because if I beat Terence Crawford, people are gonna say, well, he's a smaller fighter. But here's the thing, Terence Crawford's a big dude.
is.
He ain't 5'6", 130 pounds,
Nah.
which Floyd Mayweather is not.
Small Floyd.
If you are in the ear of Terence Bud Crawford, wait for someone like a Devin Haney, like a well, maybe not Shakur Stevenson because they're good friends, like a Devin Haney, like a Lomachenko, like a Tank Davis to come up, or go get Charlo, then move up again and go get Canelo. What would you advise him in those two particular paths?
Ooh, you know, maybe I don't have a lot of facts or anything to back me up in this opinion, but I'm just going to say what I would love to see. Mm-hmm. I'd say go get Canelo. Ooh. Go get Canelo. You're going to go down. If you know, Tank might move up. Tank might move up, but you know you can move up for sure. Mm-hmm. And what Tank has absolutely become one of the biggest stars in boxing.
Without question.
But it's Canelo. It's Triple C. The man has had such a history. He is still the face of this sport. I think Terence Crawford does that fight, and if he beats Canelo, that throws him in a realm that very few fighters have ever been in the entire Queensberry rules sport of the sweet science. No one has touched that, you know, that rare air. That's the Mike Tyson air. That's the I guess Floyd Mayweather air.
Oh, you guess 50-0? Won a title in every division?
The man who's the reason boxers have not been taking real fights. The man who's made it so you can't take a real loss in boxing. The man who set that precedent.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I want to get too sidetracked off this. Floyd Mayweather is one of the very few, and I do mean very few boxers, who's his own promoter.
Yeah.
So if he's one of the very few, how is it his fault if the promoters ain't doing it? The other boxers are saying, we want to fight each other. The promoter's like, nah, we're good. Just like now. And this is going to be leading to the next one. We might be getting Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder 27 years later when they're not undefeated. Yeah. They're not both heavyweight champions, and the hype is not at its apex. No, but we still might get it. Is that on Floyd Mayweather for them, or is that on their own promoters not doing it? And just very quickly, Floyd had his precedent, but guess what? Y'all can't do what I do, because when you do, y'all failed. Y'all failed. Y'all lose. But if I'm my only promoter, I can set my fights. You guys have to go through somebody to get your fight set. So don't blame Floyd for making his own blueprint and succeeding at it when everyone else tried. Just like with your boy Conor McGregor. Not everyone could be an elusive character and be successful. Just like John Jones. Not everyone could have a crazy, out-of-the-cage lifestyle, but they still go in there and dominate everybody. It's different for everybody. So you can't blame one person for how it is. Guess what? If you look at the dates of a lot of these fights, we talk about the 80s.
Yep.
Duran, Hearns, Hagler, Leonard. Great fights. Look at some of the dates of those fights. They didn't all fight in the same freaking 2-year span. Okay? No, they didn't do that.
They didn't.
Okay? There was some year gaps in between. I looked it up. Oh, wait, that was 83, but that's 86. What were you doing for 3 years? Oh, that was 84, and that was 89. What were you doing for 4 years? So this idea that, fighters always, the very next fight, yeah, a year later, yeah, 2 years later. So don't give me this nonsense of, he set the precedent. What we do know is this, and I love that you say go after Canelo. I would say that too, only because we don't know how much longer Canelo's going to be around.
We don't.
Canelo's got like 7,423 fights. I did the math on it. He's got that many fights. Dude fought when he was like 9 months old, if I'm not mistaken.
Fresh
so
out
he's
the
been
womb.
going there for a long time. I don't know how much longer he wants to stay around there. He is the biggest name in boxing. So I would go after him. I ain't going to lie, though. I love to see Tank Davis.
Him and Tank
when
would
he
be
said
nasty.
that, I was like, wait, isn't that like a hype? But they Tank is showing. I don't give a damn how tall you is.
care.
Timber! So it's going to be awesome.
It will be.
It's going to be awesome.
Tank is shown, like, especially with Ryan Garcia. You tall? That's cool. I'm going to get in you.
Oh, yeah, I got you. I don't know if Ryan Garcia is the best tree for that. I wish that young man the best, and I think he's going to do good, but I'd love to see Tank against some other guys. Now, I mentioned this fight, and I want to get your thoughts on it really quick as we wrap up the show.
Yep.
Wilder Joshua. Oof. Just hearing it. We'll talk more into it when it gets officially announced and we have a date. We'll talk more about it then.
Yes.
Just your initial thoughts. Who do you think is walking out on top?
Oh my goodness, that gets my goddamn juices running. I don't care. I don't care if it's not the peak of their hype, if they're both men are not undefeated champs or anything. I don't care. This fight gets me out of bed. This fight makes me say, when's boxing on? When's that fight? I'm keeping track of that. I'm making sure I'm awake on that day, ready to watch. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. I'm taking Deontay Wilder, by the way.
You better.
All the
That's
way.
America.
All the way.
That's America.
That's America.
Let's talk about Boston. Hey, we're going to send them back to England. Take that team with you.
Anthony Joshua reminds me a lot of Serial Gone. They're both just this physique, big men, but when they get in the ring when it's most important, it don't really turn out too well for them. Am I wrong? Joshua
has won the title a couple times.
Okay, that's great.
But he did beat Andy Ruiz. I mean, he lost
after losing.
Well, he lost to Usyk and he got upset. That happens in the heavyweight division, dude. I lost to Usyk twice. Oh, I'm sorry. The undefeated guy who literally had like 7,227 amateur bouts before becoming a pro. The guy who was fighting a damn war for his country. God bless him. God bless him. And you're going to shame me for that? Again, I'm losing to the best. I'm not losing to somebody that nobody lost. He ain't losing to Kalani Lua. He losing to the best. Well, Andy Ruiz kind of looks like me a little bit, but...
You lost to Andy Ruiz. That's the problem. That's when it all started, when he lost that first fight.
He's a great fighter. He's tough than a mother, okay?
He is.
Fast hands. Powerful. He's got that elusiveness of, I'm a big guy, but I'll go 22 rounds and not even take a deep breath. So he's got that elusiveness. I'm going for Deontay Wilder, though.
Yeah,
squad.
Here's power, baby.
Here's what I think really quick. They should do a trilogy. Sign the contract. Yes. One time in Saudi Arabia. Get the gasoline, get Chevron and Shell and all them. Make them happy.
Yeah.
Do one in Las Vegas. Then do Wembley Stadium.
Ooh.
Sell it out, baby. You do it over there in the Middle East. You bring it to America. And then you take it over to England. I don't know if he'll go 3-0. But I'll tell you what, I'm all in. You tell me your next 3 fights for both of y'all have to be against each other. Saudi Arabia, Las Vegas, Europe, let's go.
Maybe whoever wins that first one in Saudi Arabia, that determines whether it's going to be in Vegas or Wembley next. Ooh. That way.
An incentive.
Mm-hmm. If I'm Deontay Wilder and if I win that fight, I'm saying, no, we're going to Wembley next. Because then that's, even if you win, that's split. And then the third fight, my home turf, my backyard, baby.
Yeah, but what if you get what if you lose? Saudi Arabia, you go to England, they pull the chair underneath you, and then they give them a decision victory. Now you're down 2-0.
No, that's the beauty of it. Anthony Joshua wins, then they go straight to Vegas right afterwards. Kind of set it up in that way, in a weird way where it's almost like basketball rules at the playoffs. You have home court advantage. Sometimes you don't. It depends on your seeding. But no matter how they do it, that is going to be beautiful. I love that idea. Great idea.
It's going to be awesome. Yes. I love it. Cannot wait for it. Wilder going to destroy that dude.
Yes, he is. He's going night-night.
Hey, but shout out to Anthony Joshua, though, man. He's been a pillar of this sport for a long time. One of the faces of it. Say what you will about his career, but he's done a great job in it so far. As we wrap up the show, we got 292, as we talked about earlier.
Yep. Saturday night, the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts.
They're wrapping up a certain show that they've been doing on ESPN.
They have.
They're wrapping it up. The finale is going to be at 292. Usually, at the end of the finale, we find out, or we already know going in, about the coaches fighting. Yep. We haven't heard anything. But there's some sprinkled rumors going out there.
Yes, there is.
Michael Chandler saying, I don't know. I'm here in December. Somebody said at Anthony Joshua's last fight, I'm fighting in December. Do we get the announcement of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler? Dana White already said Michael Chandler is going to be his first fight back. Are we going to get Conor McGregor getting a Dana White, wink, wink, exemption from the UFC, and he'll be eligible to fight in December? Because right now, y'all being testable for 6 months. He won't meet that deadline, Griff. Does he get the Dana White rub to fight in December? Rub-a-dub-dub, scrub-a-dub-dub. What say you?
He freaking better. I'm tired of it. I'm going to say it right now. I love the antics. I love the Conor. I love the Notorious One doing his thing. But when you go to a boxing match and you pour proper 12 stout into the mouth of Anthony Joshua, and then you go out there and you make claims of fighting Chandler in December, Gaethje next, and then finishing the trilogy with Nate, those are big promises. Those are enticing promises. Do not. Well, we'll talk about win or losses when it comes, but don't make those promises. Don't do this unless we're at least guaranteed to see you in December. I pray that on 292, it's a great card. It's a great night in Boston, but it's also when we finally can say he's back. He's coming back. It's set. It's done. Let's get it.
Yeah, if anybody is there, please don't tweet out any information you may hear beforehand, especially if they have a video package, a face-off in the cage. Don't do that. You're spoiling it for us. Guess what? I want to know the end of the movie.
I don't.
I want to watch it. I want to watch the movie. Cool that you found out who the bad guy is, or that Tony Stark is the one that gets the glove. Cool. Yep. Leave it alone, brother. I'm invested. I want to see it. And he also called out a YouTuber. Just horrible look for him right now. But guess what? If they do fight, Chandler said, I've been seeing him on boats, more boats lately than him pads. If he fights Chandler in December, he going down like that Titanic.
Be ready, Chandler.
Boom!
Be ready.
It's going on. But, Griff, as always, great show. And that is another edition of The Main Event right here on Franchise Sports Media. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And tune in again for another edition of The Main Event. This is
Griff and Camp.
Kalani Lua. Till next time, fight fans. Peace.